All right. Well, good. We're live, everybody, and thanks for joining us. And really pleased to have this opportunity today to share with you three particularly awesome suppliers of HR technology for the HR tech industry, and with a special focus on engagement. Which this Thursday, if you're lucky enough to get to Minneapolis for the LEHRN HR Tech Expo, which is the second largest in the U.S. It's a great event. All three will be there. This is your chance to get to meet them in advance, or if you catch this recorded webinar afterwards, you'll get to see what you missed. And if you are going to be there, certainly stop by booth 201, meet the players here, and look forward to certainly letting them tell their story about how they help employers improve their employee engagement and really help them get to the next level as a company and everybody that's involved. So this is being brought to you by HR Tech Advisor and the upcoming HR Tech Alliances platform, which will bring the vendors together to help solve the dilemmas in the HR Tech industry for the buyers and everybody else that helps make these things possible. So with that, I'm going to introduce Pavel from Emplo. He's going to review the Emplo solution for you, and then we'll pass it on to the next presenter, which will be Tom. So Pavel, go ahead if you want to share your screen, and we'll go ahead and let you get started then.
Hello, everybody.
How will we share our
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Let me just. Can you?
And Mike, while Pavel's getting started up, Mike, I've muted your line there. If you want in the future, you can just click the microphone at the top again. That'll until you're ready to present. That'd be great. Thanks.
So, I hope everybody can see my screen.
Yep, looks great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. It's going to be great. And thanks again for joining us. We're to answer any of your questions. I'd like to tell you a bit about Emplo and what we stand for, what are our core values for the company. Wow. Sorry, just has a delay.
Yep, it's there now.
Okay. So, is building an engaging work environment important? Well, for us, the answer is very simple. Hopefully for you, it's the same answer, and that's a yes. Numerous research shows that having a very engaged team working for you translates into effective business KPIs. And these are measurable results that any business can understand and implement for their organization. And this is the difference between the least engaged teams and the most engaged teams. Now, the question here is, how do we move that dial? How do we make people care more about their work? Well, first of all, we have to figure out what are the challenges, right? So if we know that we want to build up employee engagement, if we want to build up a more engaged team, we have to consider the risks and various challenges. Well, you're not alone, that's number one, and that's one of the biggest challenges. Well, the majority of the US workforce is not engaged at work, and this actually brings a cost to every single company, and that's something that we can help with. And another huge talking point now is how difficult it is to attract, retain, and engage millennials. Well, that's going to be a challenge that's going to be bigger and bigger for everybody. By 2020, 75% of all employees worldwide will be millennials, and that also goes for the US marketplace. And the research that has been done until now, globally and in the US specifically, shows us that compensation and money does not drive engagement. So even if we pay exuberant compensation, even if we attract people with a great package of benefits, it's not going to really help our productivity in the least bit. So the challenges are many. We try to address as many of them as we can with our solution, and all of those elements that you can see on your screen right now, they are important if you want to talk about employee engagement. So cost optimization, internal communication, generation management, work efficiency, streamlining processes, and the reduction of rotation are all important. Now, what drives employee engagement? In our opinion, employee engagement is driven by a set of core values that are common for many people. Can you see that?
Now?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. So these are our core values, our internal core values, and we want to share them with you, and this is how we also try to, and how we think about the future of work. We understand that people should come first, that we should set up clear goals, that organizations should be transparent and fair. We strongly believe in owning your work and being autonomous, in giving development opportunities and having a clearly set out development plan for all employees, having a positive work surrounding, and a culture based on learning. Now, how does this translate into benefits for the solution for your company? I'm now going to real quick switch to Emplo as the tool. Can you see the screen now with the newsfeed?
Not quite.
It's a bit of a delay. Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah. It just take a minute to come up. I mean, you can go ahead and just jump into it.
Sure,
It shows
yeah.
up later on the
So
screen.
when we were thinking about how to actually enact those values that are so important to us into a wider variety of companies, into our potential clients, we discovered that software is one of the best ways to do it. And we created a system designed for small and medium businesses that will allow them to take the best practices and the best ways of handling employee engagement from bigger companies that can spend loads of money on it for your specific needs. What you see here on the screen, I hope now, is every person's individual personalized newsfeed. You see it?
I think you'll need to do the screen share again.
Okay. Do the
Yeah, I was
screen
just seeing
share
your video.
Yeah,
That's
it's still
okay.
not showing up, yeah.
That's fine. Let me just do that again.
Good picture of you, though.
That's not a picture, that's live.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay, now we got your screen
Yeah,
share.
now you got it? Okay, thank
Yep.
you very much for your help. So this is your personalized newsfeed. The newsfeed is about how we deliver information into every single person in the company. This information is gathered from various sources. One of the types of sources are groups. So these are organized communities about topics and things that people care about, like customer care or the general news for the company, the HR team, or international business development. Going into a specific group, people can find information that's relevant to their job at a specific time point. It's extremely easy to add information here. So if we want to comment on something, we just start typing, right? And immediately we can just add a comment very easily. The person will get notified that their article was commented on. We can give them a like. And I'm the CEO here in this company. And I just liked Stella's post. And she will get a nice notification here saying that John liked your post. And that's what we call peer-to-peer recognition. One of the key factors in driving employee engagement. It's also very easy to add a link or to add a graphical element. And for our customers, that's the way that they want to really utilize internal communication with a social and collaborative way. You might notice that the interface here is quite common for a lot of social products like Facebook or LinkedIn, and that would be a very correct observation. We wanted to create a system that will be extremely easy for anybody to interact with. Within our customers, we have groups that are anywhere from 16 people up to 3,000 people. And the span of age groups using the system is just huge. It's anybody from 20, 19 years old all the way up to people that are nearing retirement. And everybody loves it. Another way that we aggregate communication inside the company and grow engagement is by allowing people to create lifetime events and company events. It's very easy to create an event, and you will immediately see a dashboard of anybody that's confirmed, attending, not attending. I can just confirm the participation right here, and again, start commenting and interacting with people participating in the event in a social way. Finally, we have one-to-one conversations. So just very quick one-to-one chat messages that we can send out to each other. Now, going back to our newsfeed, what will happen is if I like something, if I comment on something, I will only see the information that's relevant to me. I can participate in groups, I can participate in conversations, but I don't get information overflow. The result is we are cutting down email traffic internally by even 97% for our customers. And we have case studies of that. So just imagine how engaged the conversation becomes if you stop being overrun by 300 emails and are just getting your little notifications and your streamlined newsfeed. You can really start to talk with people, and that, again, drives engagement. Peer-to-peer recognition, social collaboration, immediate responses. Our customers use these systems to search for innovation inside their companies. So even if you would be not inclined to ask 120 people what's the best road for your company, you can start easy. You can start them, what's the best coffee that I want to choose for the next month, and go from there, right? But all of those elements are done in an extremely easy way, an extremely efficient way that really helps to drive engagement. Another area that we found lacking is access to information. A lot of people say, well, I could have done my job better if only I had the right information. And they find it very difficult to go into a structured company or a flat structured company, either way, and find the information that is relevant for their job. And that is tedious. Well, if something's tedious, it definitely drives engagement down. And that's why the system has a knowledge base, or a wiki, if you wish, included, and it's very easy to search for any types of information. The system automatically creates tag clouds that are fully searchable. It organizes information into articles and posts, and all of the information, including the database and your news feeds, is fully searchable. So you can just search for people, search the knowledge areas, search posts and articles, events and groups. And that's the very, very basic rundown of what Emplo can do. We have many, many more functionalities inside the system that are designed around individual development for employees and performance management. From the perspective of the people working for you and with you, it is always a newsfeed. It is always a very clear form of communication that's easy to reply to, that drives actions. From the perspective of the administrator, we follow full data analytics suites. We have all of those administrative tools and abilities that help to run a small and medium business. From what I'm seeing, I think that's all the time that we have. So I hope you liked it, and I'm very happy to meet up with you very soon and share more.
Terrific, Paul. Thank you so much. Great overview, and certainly if you're going to be in Minneapolis on Thursday for the show, stop by. You can see more, and if you have questions, you can certainly ask that now in the webinar. With that, I'm going to pass the presentation over to Tom from People Assessments, and he's going to give you an introduction to what they have to offer. So, Tom, you're on.
It says share your screen, but it's not showing what I want to share.
Ah, okay.
It says entire. Oh, okay, okay. I think just entire screen will be fine. Okay,
It can work
so
too.
then I just, yeah, then I have to just. Now, are you seeing that?
Not yet, but it
Yeah.
should pop up any second here.
Right. So the what I'm showing is a presentation that's how we close the gaps between everybody knows and what everybody does when it comes to talent management. So engaging our theory about engagement is that it's a lot easier to achieve engagement if you both hire engageable people and you kind of check and confirm that you've removed any toxic talent that you have in the organization, and you're making the best use of the hidden gems that may be there. So we approach it from the point of view of the current workforce and the future workforce. And we start with kind of a thought-disturbing question, which is, why did these brands die? Most people are familiar with these brands. They've grown up with them.
Tom, hold on a second. We are not seeing your screen yet. Perhaps you need to try that share again, please.
Okay.
But we love your propeller hat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah, it made
Yeah.
Pablo laugh.
Yeah. Now
All
what
right,
I'm
now we
seeing
can
is
see. Well, then
it's kind of like
go to the correct tab
go
that you
back
want
to
to
the
show. There you go.
okay.
All right, you're good.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, we'll get there.
Awesome.
Okay. So why did these brands die? And it's these are brands we all grew up with, and Kodak and Kodachrome and Borders Books and Music, Blockbuster Video, and Life magazine, and really the answer to why they died has a lot more to do with talent than anything physical or financial or equipment wise. I mean, Kodak invented the digital camera, and yet it was done in by the digital camera. Um, Blockbuster was just not able to adjust to online delivery of movie entertainment or video entertainment. Um, so how talent is managed, how the strategy is set, how people adapt to change is much more important than just sort of the physical what is in any one organization. And so talent management is the core to keeping a brand relevant as the market changes, um, as technology changes, and managing talent is very important. And the key things are who gets hired, how are they motivated, and how are they developed. We focus in our technologies on making sure the right people are hired, people who are engageable, people who will be engaged by the work, and how they're developed. We're not so big on the how they're motivated part. We do have a leadership culture component that does directly impact that, but I won't be talking about that today. I'm going to focus on who gets hired and how they're developed are kind of our major thrust. And in terms of talent risk, maximizing talent value is minimizing talent risk. And what are the things that cause us to fall down? And one of the common ones is intuitive hiring. There's still a lot of people, even today, in companies that send rockets to the moon. I remember doing work at Boeing, and their method of hiring engineers was to look them in the eye and see if they, look at their GPA and what school they went to, and then get a sense of whether they personally like them. So they used science and engineering to actually create all the technologies that they deliver to customers. But when it comes to bringing the people in that define who Boeing is, they did that very intuitively and in a way that was really not effective. There's also a retreat from rating. I think a lot of you have probably heard about the various theories of neurological decision making and how bad it is that we use these 5-point scales to have annual reviews of performance. And I certainly agree with all that, but then the answer to it is not to go from bad data to worse data, which seems to be what some of those who are advocating the retreat from ratings, and many of the large corporations, including Microsoft and General Electric and Intel and others, are doing away with performance ratings, but they really need to think very carefully about what they replace that with. And simply having people talk to each other more often in an unstructured way is not the answer. And neither is it for them to discuss very quick kind of opinion-based team leader evaluations, as we all hear from Marcus Buckingham, who was the person that brought out the Q12 initially, and the Strengths Finder, which turns out is not actually a reliable measure of anything. And then the third kind of area where we fall down is in protective promotion. We don't really do a very careful, empirical, and objective job of deciding who should be the people that get promoted into new opportunities. We often assume the best salesperson will be the best sales manager, and we all know how risky that can be. So everybody knows that, certain things, and let me know when this screen actually shows up, so I have an idea what the delay is.
Yeah, that's all good. Yep.
It's already there? Okay, good. Well, everybody knows that these are things that are common knowledge, and yet we still do silly things. You can't hire top talent if it abandons the assessment. If you're going to use an assessment and you're going to take it seriously, if people won't actually complete it, well, then you can't hire top talent if they won't finish it. And the data is fairly clear now from the work of Tom Foreman, I believe, who's looked at over 12 different countries, 96,000 different applications, and finds that the completion rate, if the candidate is completing on a PC and it's a highly branded employer, the completion rates are 50%. And that itself could be a little alarming. But when the completion rates on a more average kind of branded employer on a mobile phone are less than 10%, and in some cases less than 5%. And so you have to ask yourself, well, who's completing these things? Is it the people you'd want to hire, or is it people who are completely desperate and just have to try anything? When I talk to recruiters, they tell me it's much more the latter, and not the top 10% candidates that you want to hire in the first place. You can't hire top talent when we look for the wrong things. We don't do a good job of actually modeling what are the performance requirements. What do successful people do differently from people who struggle? We often just cut and paste from existing job descriptions about what was there before. It describes the job, but it doesn't describe the kind of people that will be successful on the job. And so then if we're looking for the wrong things, when we're probably going to find them, and that's not going to be helpful. We can't hire top talent when it scores the same as typical talent. And there are over 80% of the assessments available with 3-color brochures and fancy reports and really wonderful GUI as the candidate goes through. Over 80% of them, there's absolutely no evidence that they predict anything. And when the evidence is collected, it sure turns out that they're a little bit better than random, but not much. If random scores 0 on the scale of 0 to 1 in a correlation with performance, then these kinds of instruments are scoring in the 5, 10, and 15 level, when something really useful should be scoring at least 25, 35, 45, and then the powerful things that work really well score 55, 65. But there's a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't deliver value. And unfortunately, a lot of people, they make their decisions based on the color of the brochures and the sort of format of the reports, and very surface and shallow points. So if we focus on the higher point, those are the things. On the other side, you can't retain and develop top talent when we measure performance poorly or not at all, so I've already pointed that out to some extent, where we promote for flattery and dependency, and when people don't know how they will be judged. So clarity is very important. And the kind of thing that Pablo was talking about really, nicely dovetails with that. You need people to hear specific, useful, concrete information from people they have a relationship with that occurs more than once a year in kind of a tense discussion about how much bonus you're going to get. So why is it that if we know all of that, then here's what most people do. We use long academic assessments or none at all, where we buy tests on sizzle and fanciful claims. We pick generic tasks and duties to gin up job descriptions. We use ticky box ratings. We rely on subjective data and conduct annual performance appraisals. Well, that's what a lot of people do, even though just about everybody knows it can't work. So there are these talent traps that I've identified. Muddled modeling, scary screening, which results in that small percentage of people that actually complete, impractical assessment that's too complex, or it's just not very accurate. And what I mean by too complex, I was just talking with a global procurement person at HSBC who was saying that they have used assessments for years, but the assessment process for vetting, what they call vetting, which we call hiring, has been shifted out of, out of HR into fraud and risk. And I'm not sure really why that is, but it certainly will cause some major consolidation. And the fraud and risk people are asking hiring managers, the operational executives, well, what do you do with all these assessments? And what they're telling them is, well, HR makes us do these things, so we tick it off. But then, we just kind of file them away and put them away because we really don't know what they're telling us. We don't know how to use them. And unless they actually have an industrial psychologist or an occupational psychologist come and explain to them what all these reports mean, which they don't really want to do for every hire they make, then they're of no real value. And then we all know about interviewing and how subjective interviewing is. And so, there's the approach to that people will say, well, but don't you believe in behavioral interviewing? And of course I believe in behavioral interviewing. I wrote the book on it. But I also know, after having trained hundreds of people over many years and analyzed lots of different jobs, that most hiring managers in the field don't actually do the best practices that make for effective interviewing. And so you can keep trying to do what hasn't worked, or we can try something else, and that's what we're going to suggest. So here are some analytics and accelerators that will solve these problems. We have scenario modelers that will collect the actual work behaviors of successful versus struggling people. We can show you samples of that at the show. We have progressive self-selection in terms of fast profilers and gamified testing that make it more exciting and interesting and engaging for people to complete the assessments, and then we see the assessment completion rates going 80, 90, 95% instead of 50%. We have accurate assessments that have been able to predict 3-year average sales performance in a basket of sales jobs in high-tech firms at a rate of, at a level of accuracy that just far exceeds anything that's been seen before, to the point where we can show $1 million of increased sales for about a $500 assessment. So for a $500 cost per hire, we can deliver $1 million of increased sales per hire. Gee, I think I'd want to do that if I was a shareholder. And we have technologies like performance scenarios. So all of these accelerators will help us be able to deliver that engaging workforce. On the interviewing side, we've basically figured out how to take out the interviewer, because the big problem with interviewing is the interviewer. And I think that's about all the time I have right now, but we do have responses that I'll be able to show you in more depth if you drop by for the development, including some technology for swiftly and stealthily telling you where your toxic talent is and where your hidden gems are. So I think I better turn it over at this point.
That's great, Tom. Thank you so much. And certainly, terrific overview for those that aren't familiar with the science behind the assessments. And certainly, if you hire good people, that certainly makes a big difference. And once they're on board, you need to engage them. So leveraging those types of tools can really make sure you got the right people in the right job at the right time. So that's an awesome overview. And yeah, certainly stop by booth 201 and meet Tom and People Assessments. So next we're going to introduce the folks from Ready Training Online. And I did see Mike. I'm not sure if Amy's with you, Mike, or if...
Yep, Amy's here.
Hi.
Okay. Oops. I just went to unmute you and I muted you. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Go ahead. Did you unmute yourself again? Or do I need to do that?
There.
All right. 3 times the charm.
There we go.
It's all you. There we go. Sorry.
There we go.
Hi, guys. I apologize there.
Not a problem.
But it worked in rehearsal, right? There we go. So yeah, Ready Training Online is the third participant in the engagement pavilion at the LEHRN HR Tech Expo this Thursday, and we're delighted to have them on board with the rest of the group here to share what they have as a set of tools in HR Tech to help companies better engage their employees. So with that, I'll let you guys take it from here, and if you want to go ahead.
Are you passing presenter? Does that help?
I will do that. Yep. There you go.
There you go. All right. Which one?
If you pull this one, that's fine.
This
Yep,
one?
we'll start there. Yep.
Okay.
And then from slideshow from beginning. Yep. And it's over on the left top. Yep.
All you.
Okay, so our enterprise training solution here at Ready Training Online, basically what we do is we provide an online platform training solution for our clients. And this consists of both your current employees and also new hires coming on, of course, to the organization. The next slide here, this is just an example of one of our clients here, but
Amy, I'm sorry, we're not seeing your...
Okay, hold on one second.
You want to share the screen there with the screen share on the left?
There we go.
How's that?
Voila.
There we go.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Now we see the
There we go.
PowerPoint program.
You can see now. We're good?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so this is just an example of one of the PowerPoint presentations that we had done for a current client here. But our goal, again, we have a training management system. Our goal here at RTO is really to provide a clear, consistent, standardized employee training across the board. We primarily focus in the retail industries. We have our restaurants, our convenience stores. We're starting to get into hotel and hospitality as well. But it is a full array of training, again, designed for new hires and both current employees. With our LMS, or our learning management solution, we do have tracking and reporting of all of that, as well as certification for those employees. So we're going to address the turnover at these locations, increase new hire production, keep these employees and companies as well in compliance, and deliver that exceptional customer service, all again related to their particular industry. And there below you can see the goals and the benefits of having that LMS in place. Again, we're going to have that stronger focused learning path. We want to keep our employees engaged. We have fast focused modules. Typically they're anywhere between 8 to 12 minutes in length, all followed by a final exam, if you will, and that certification. One of the strengths, I believe, here at RTO as well is we do not believe in just taking these computer module training courses. We blended learning. So along with those modules for the employees, we're going to have that on-the-job training. So making them, of course, do the module, understand the concept, and then go out and do this for a manager or a supervisor. Implementation. Here at RTO, we have a very easy and efficient implementation system. Mike, who's also going to speak for a little bit, he is our activation specialist. He will provide that hand-holding, that one-on-one support for our clients, really kind of leading them through every step along the way. But we want you to understand as a prospect that this is our project. It's really a process for the clients. All they really need from the beginning is to give us an initial listing of their locations, obviously restaurants, stores, whatever it may be, and their employees list, and we do the rest for them. Down there at the bottom, just to reiterate a couple things again that we do, we have top-rated content. We have over 50-plus years of experience here with fresh, definitely industry-specific content for the client. Having that instant certification is huge and powerful. So live data, reporting and tracking, allowing each manager to look at their employees in the moment. We talked again about the client activation support. We are here 7 days a week if your employees would need us for any reason. We also really pride ourselves in, once they do become a client, they're going to have an assigned account manager, again, to meet with them minimally once a month to ensure that things are going well. We want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, of course, and anything in between, but really making sure as new products come about, new modules come about, any age restriction, anything that's state specific to that particular location, we're going to provide those updates automatically into their accounts. Just a couple benefits, of course, of utilizing us here at RTO. I won't read down through all of these, but some of the highlights are to get that employee ready to the floor fastest. We usually use the motto and hear so many times, fastest to the floor wins. We understand we need to get that employee trained, making them feel confident, making sure that they're sharing in the guest experience, giving that ultimate customer experience, so that those returning guests, decide to come to this convenience store, that restaurant or hotel, and tell all their friends about it as well. Here's a couple examples of some of our screens for training. This particular screen is really...
Amy,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt here.
Sure.
All we're seeing is the slide 2, actually. We're not seeing the slides advance here. We're seeing the actual PowerPoint present. Oh, okay, now it's moving. Maybe you have multiple screens there or something. We're not seeing the presentation screen.
Here, let's just do this.
All right, I see whatever slide number that is. Report, manage, track.
You're just going to have to do it this way.
Okay, how do I click next then?
Well, you should be able to just click on it.
Just still click? Okay, that's fine.
All right, sorry about the interruption.
No, I definitely, we want to make sure you're seeing what I'm talking about. Okay, perfect. And just click on it. Okay, that's fine. So here's an example of the management tracking or screens that would be utilized by a supervisor, leadership, maybe a training administrator, basically anyone who's going to have responsibility for making sure the training is getting completed. So again, 3 slides here showing you the reporting, the documentation, how to track the employee's progress, just different tools that they'll be able to easily go in and take a look at. All live fire. If you have a convenience store employee that is working, of course, late night at 2 a.m., when you come back in the morning at 5, 6, 7, whenever you're going to take a look at that, that will be updated, again, ready to go for you. Here's a screen, just an example of the learning management tool here. 2 different modules, of course. Cleaning the dumpster is an example, and then we have one of the avatar modules. It looks like for responsibility for tobacco sales. Reiterating again, we are short, we are focused, they're really interactive teaching modules, definitely designed to engage that employee, ensuring that that training will be consistent. As you can understand, if you have a 10, 15, 20, 300, whatever it may be chain, what an easy way to kind of meet everybody and get that consistency across the board with the associates. This is just an example of a tool that we have here at RTO. It's been very helpful, been very well received. A lot of our clients will tell us that they've tried to develop something similar to this on their own. Maybe it started halfway through and maybe it hasn't ever been started, but this is just basically a checklist or a success guide for that on-the-job training that employee would actually begin to take. So we help them, we design this, tailor this specific to the client's request, add and delete anything that they may need or find helpful. And then the final slide here is our checkpoints. This just kind of shares with you that we have, for example, our modules are actually designed and actually will go into a workshop per se. So for example, maybe we'll have an HR workshop, and in between that HR workshop, we may have modules in there talking about, for example, sexual harassment, violence in the workplace, possibly a social media. But those little checkpoints are designed after completion of an entire workshop of modules, just again evaluating the level of understanding. This would already be after they had taken a final exam and got their certification, keeping them engaged, just again helping with the retention there. I think I'm going to have time, so I think I just wanted to, I know you said, is this where I start it, correct, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so just to kind of reiterate here, I think pretty much everything, oh, you heard it, so I don't think I need to re-show it. Let's go into the other PowerPoint there. I think I'll be able to touch upon that. Just a couple other things here. When we get a new prospect or a new client, you know, the first thing we're looking to talk with them about is their current methods of training, any challenges that they may have, and really honestly a wish list for training. If they had that crystal ball, what would they want training to look like? You know, and then we kind of mold and shape that live demonstration, of course, you know, to their tailoring their needs. But basically, I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite screens to share and show. These are the six most commonly things we hear time and time again, and these are our commitments here at RTO. The benefits of having that quality learning management or e-learning in place. We're going to provide that exceptional customer service, increase that retention. Having the accessibility is huge. You know, we don't have to wait for a training class or a classroom training or worry about the trainer not being available. We now have the accessibility for them to log in 24/7, keeping that consistent message, again, across all locations, increasing retention, and also, again, ultimately, increasing the new hire productivity. Most of our modules you're going to see are either an avatar module or a video module. Really, the top one is about 85%. Really sharing, again, if it's a convenience store, you're going to see video. Everything is shot. All the modules, everything takes place in that convenience location, obviously restaurant or hotel. So we use that about 85%. The bottom is the avatar module. We'll use different avatar modules for about 10 to 15% of our content. Usually the way I decipher those is anything where we're really trying to drive home a message, if it is a compliance issue. Anything where we're talking alcohol, tobacco related, you know, we're going to show that as an avatar module.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm still just seeing like a partial slide that says objective. Times all corporations clear objective is.
Yeah, I agree. Same here.
Is that better?
Maybe not yet. We're just seeing you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's coming up now. Aha! How a module works.
You guys need to tell me a lot sooner. I'm so sorry about that. Sorry about that. All right, so we're I know getting close to our time allotted, so let me just share with you. This is just a very quick overview of how a module will work. The employee will sign in to a dashboard with a unique user ID and password that we've created for them. They'll come to a training step, which is the second listing there. That training step also is very important. We realize people learn lots of different ways. So not only will you see the video, you'll hear that through the audio. You'll obviously be reading it. And then that fourth key component is getting up and actually going out and doing it. Each training step will be followed by a quiz question confirming that understood, the knowledge that was just shared in the prior step. The ultimate goal is to take them through all the steps in our modules, getting to that final exam. All of our exams are about 10 to 15 questions in length, all multiple choice and true and false. Following that with that certificate or their reward or their name in lights, again, all stamped with our gold seal of approval, and again, there will be a certification or reporting tracking system that they can get to. And let's see here. Our learning management solution, this is pretty valuable to kind of speak about. We are a cloud-based learning management system. We really believe in putting our clients in control. We will give them best practices. We will give them similar locations in size and proximity, share what they're doing and what's been working well. But in the end, our clients will decide in which order the training is taken, which jobs specifically, see which modules. We really kind of help them create this and design that to be specific to them. Again, we talked about a lot of these other things here, so I'm going to skip to the next slide. And probably end about on this slide, if that's, and let Mike kind of talk a little bit if he needs to share anything technology-wise. This is my baby, this is where I live, and this is what I truly believe our strength is here at RTO. We truly believe in career progression or that career journey or path with the employee. We have training for all different walks of life. This is, of course, an example of a convenience store. But we have our first 24, or our basic training modules, and they are typically modules that we would recommend for all employees of the convenience locations. Our training specialists, loss prevention specialists, and our merchandising specialists, these positions were created for those employees that are maybe 6 to 9 months per se in that position. Maybe they're a great cashier, a great deli clerk, but they're trying to get into more of a management leadership role. The company may think they're just not quite ready to get into that, but we don't want to lose that valuable employee, so we're kind of going to give them that midway mark or that trial and error, if you will, giving someone just a little bit more responsibility, a little bit more leadership role has added so much value and has also, hearing from our clients, allowed them to keep those employees and hopefully, moving them into and hopefully ending up at the district manager range. And then the last slide I'll just kind of let you guys kind of peek at here. This is an example of all of our current convenience store modules that we currently have. There list all of our first 24, specialist series, the assistant through the district manager, which we do currently have. No longer are they coming soon. All of these modules will be ready to go. Again, this one particularly is convenience stores. That's, I guess, the end of my presentation. I'm going to let Mike kind of sum it up and maybe talk just for a minute or two about our technical side here.
Just real quick, we do integrate with other software. Like she said, we are cloud-based. We can connect with other applications for bringing employees over, things like that. We have data feeds that we can share data back and forth. And we also customize. We have our own studio where we can produce. We can travel to your other locations to produce any custom modules, training, video, in-house or at any location of your choice. So I don't want to run over our time, and I think we're really close to that, so I'm going to just turn it back over to you, Ward.
Okay. No, thank you very much, Amy and Mike. Great introduction, and certainly those that are interested to learn more, stop by the booth. And we have a couple minutes here for a couple questions. There was a question that came in for Ready Training. Just tell us how training impacts engagement. Kind of a generic question, but yeah.
You wanna?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll join if there's anything to add to yours.
Well, with those OJTs that we talked about, that gets the managers interacting with and engaging with the employees. Like we said, we don't just throw the employee in front of its computer screen and say, here, train and figure, learn this. We get the managers involved with them to take them around the store, show them what they've just learned. If they've learned how to use a lottery machine, for example, the employee gets that OJT, the manager will come over and walk, with the employee. So here's the lottery machine. They're interacting, they're engaging. You know, and the employee gets, you know, gets a little more comfortable, and it helps with retention, because if you have a, you know, an employee who's happy, who's learning, who thinks they're making a difference, then they'll want to stay.
Yeah, and just to piggyback what he said, you know, our philosophy is people want to know the expectations. People want to know what is expected on day 1, what is expected on day 5, hey, 2 weeks in. So that OJT, or that success guide that I had talked about, that checklist, if you will, that we create and really kind of tailor that to that current client is huge. One of the most popular things that we hear time and time again from our prospects is, they didn't show up on day 2, day 3, and the reason is because they had no idea what was to come. So just keeping them engaged that way, having that checklist, knowing exactly my expectations from the beginning. I know what I'm going to be expected to learn. I know when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to do it is most important and valuable for the engagement of the employee.
That's good to know. Pablo, I don't know if you have anything to share around, you know, in terms of retention. The others talked a lot about their solutions helping with retention, which certainly is a great ROI for the company.
Sure.
How does your platform help with retention of key employees?
Sure. Well, the whole premise behind Emplo are internal motivation factors. So the need for autonomy, the sense of purpose, and the one's need to improve themselves. So anybody that can give you those opportunities will be at least, you know, a friend, but they will be more than that. They will be a mentor. They will be somebody that guides you through your work life. You know, so why do we learn musical instruments on the weekend? Nobody pays us, right? We want to get better. So if we have the chance to get better at our job, and we're recognized for it, and our peers recognize us for it, and our managers recognize us for it, that is a key element in making sure that somebody doesn't leave the company. And so I think that's one of the greatest needs that we fulfill, is giving people the ability to know exactly what's their individual development plan, how is that plan connected to their competency model inside the company, because we have the competency models, and how attending a conference, reading a book, or being part of a training seminar, right? How that influences their future in the company. And they can just look it up in 5 minutes on their mobile phone. So that's a great difference that anybody has. The second factor that we've seen in retention figures is that if people are not acting, they don't have the ability to own their own work, they, in many cases, will want to leave, right? So people want to feel responsible. They don't have to be responsible for the whole company, right? But they have to be responsible and have an influence. It can't be that that they're just, you know, sitting there and they're a pawn in a big machine, and they don't understand why. They don't understand what they're doing. So having that overview and that ability to really see that their work makes a difference, it's huge. I'll give you an example. We have a chain of hotels, Puro Hotels, and the biggest users are the cleaning staff. They're the biggest users. You know, they interact, they collaborate like crazy. They chat with each other with their social groups, and the rotation dropped by, you know, double digits, 40%, 50%. That's the drop in rotation that you can see, and that's huge. You know, that's millions of dollars for somebody that hires a few thousand people on their cleaning staff.
Wow, yeah, great examples. And Tom, we'll leave the last question to you, and then we'll need to wrap up here. But do you have any thoughts around, you know, the engagement impacting retention in terms of assessing your staff and knowing what you have on hand? You know, how does your tool help companies, you know, improve the engagement as it relates to assessing your talent?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it has to do with finding people with the right mindset so that they will be not coming in with an entitled view of in a a me-ish kind of approach, but really having a more of a we-ish view of we're all in this together. We're going to work toward our common goals and objectives. We're going to confront issues that are disagreements and come to a better understanding. And those are characteristics that can be measured through our biodata tools and our tests and scales, and then through exercises where we put people through scenarios where they have to kind of handle and deal with the kind of challenges people face on the job.
Okay, and you have, in terms of assessments being pre-employment as well, how do you think that affects the performance? I mean, does it affect the performance, like if you're doing 360s and things like that? Or is there a correlation there, or is it two separate instruments?
Well, the pre-employment, the current workforce, can be assessed just as well as the future workforce, but 360s have not shown a really strong. Well, I mean, 360s are often used as the criterion measure against which you look at various kinds of predictors, because they are measures of perception but not behavior. And it's perception is reality to a certain extent. If people perceive that a particular employer is not going to be appealing, then they're going to find harder time filling roles and have to spend more to drive in candidates. But we want to measure both perception and actual accomplishment in cognitive ability measures, and objectively accurate measures of future performance, which we can do with our biodata scales and other kinds of psychometric scales. So they all impact engagement, because engagement really is the extent to which people can, productively and meaningfully contribute to value at work. So having the right competence and having the right orientation and working effectively with others on common goals is how you deliver engagement.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Well, and this has been a really good webinar here, folks. Thank you so much for participating, and certainly look forward to connecting with some of the buyers out there in Minnesota. They're anxious to learn about these different tools, how they can help improve their company's engagement with their employees. And with that, we're going to wrap here, and thanks everybody for attending. Thanks for the great questions, and hopefully we'll see everyone on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
See you soon. Bye.